You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. RC, how are you, man?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Doing awesome, man. Saturday or Sunday night, rather. Are you over it? Are you over it yet? You're pretty aggressive. You're pretty aggressive on Twitter, man. I saw you had
So here's what's funny, bro. People thought I had like a bad case of CTE. They were telling me, they were like, your life is going to be okay. You're doing better than 99. I was like, no, guys, I don't legitimately hate my life. I hate the fact that we lost this game because we got an extra point blocked. Like, I was like, guys, I'm okay.
The tweet read like words in succession, like up and down, I hate my life. And so obviously it was, it got a little bit of play. Something you did not hate, however, was Jay Ward. I saw you tweet that Jay Ward was a monster. Obviously you played 13 years, safety in the NFL. What did you see from, that's a guy that Brian Kelly raved about all throughout camp. What did you see?
Just a physical run and hit safety. I think that's lost a lot of times now in this game because we've kind of legislated out physicality. But if you watch how he hustled, if you watch how he continued to run to the ball, the way he finished on every play, it's funny because Jordan texted me during the game and he was like, man, he's like, Jay Ward is unbelievable. And I was like, I know. And Jordan and I were kind of going back about it, which is what made me tweet it. I think that, you know, when you watch a guy, and I think about when he came in as a corner, and obviously the year he got there was Stingley's year and all those guys. But I remember Corey Raymond, the former DB coach, telling me that Jay had an opportunity or the makings to be a really, really good safety. And, you know, now you're starting to see that. And so I just enjoy the way that he played the game. And I think when you watch somebody play that hard, play that physical, it shows you, like, you know how they have those saying, like, you know, tell me you're a football player without telling me you're a football player, whatever. Like, it shows you how much he loves this game by the way that he plays it.
RC, you did also, because I was following some of your tweets during the game, and one of the big questions people had was third down defense. I mean, 11 of 17, Florida State. That was a huge difference in the game. You tweeted so much off coverage for LSU on third and short. At some point, you have to challenge. Is it that simple? Or let me ask you a bigger picture question. Based on what you saw, one game sample, how does LSU fix its third down defense?
Well, I mean, you know, when Mason goes down, that hurts, right?
Yeah, sure.
You lose a great interior rusher, a guy that's an enforcer for 3 downs. I think that's one thing. Obviously, Ojulari is also a little banged up, and so he may have not been as effective as you'd like him in the rush. But, you know, when you think about, and obviously there are new guys all over the field and all over the secondary. But when you think about LSU being great in the secondary, and you think about the playmakers they've had, you know, these are guys who do enjoy press coverage. These are guys who do challenge. And I think Greg Brooks in the slot is the guy that can do that. Obviously, the corners gave up a couple of deep balls, but I think, you know, they're big and physical corners. And I think when you have 3rd and 3 to 5, like, you can't just sit in off coverage, allow people to get to the sticks and catch the football. You can't allow a team to also stay in front of the sticks, as Florida State did, because they were able to run the ball on 1st and 2nd down. Like, even during the broadcast, you heard the commentators say in these 2nd and long situations, Florida State was running the football to put themselves in 3rd and manageable. And then once you're in 3rd and manageable, I think it really opens up the playbook for an offensive coordinator, and we watch those things happen. So I think it's a multitude of things they have to do better. Sometimes being better on 1st and 2nd down makes you better on 3rd down. But I do also believe they have to challenge and get into the faces of some of these wide receivers and try to throw the timing of passing plays off.
I'm going to ask you about the offense in a second, but defensively, is I'm going to say, is it fixable? I mean, you can obviously always improve, but how much of it do you think is scheme? How much is personnel? And one person in particular that I did want to ask you about is Micah Baskerville, who it's like the last 2 years, RC, we've seen Baskerville come in like late in the season and sort of assert himself in a linebacker group that really needed that, that boost. Now, Damone Clark was fantastic last year, but certainly in 2020. Would that make a difference, or is the improvement more just timing, reps?
Definitely. Definitely, I think that he can make a difference. But I believe the other part of it is like all of these guys are new. There's so many new starters at linebacker in the secondary, and I think it's hard to have some sort of chemistry or have some sort of understanding of what the best calls are for each player or what the best calls are for your collective group. And obviously Major and Jay were both back there at safety, last year. But for the most part, there's so many new and moving pieces. And I do think you can improve. And also, too, Sconey, like we're talking about this, like they gave up 50 points.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think we still have to keep that in perspective, that because the defense did play at least well enough, there was an opportunity for a 99-yard drive that potentially gave you an opportunity to tie the score. And so they weren't awful, but I just think you can be better and also get your offense more possessions if you're getting off on third down.
Ryan Clark is with us. He, of course, on Twitter at RealRClark25. You can check out The Pivot as well, the podcast, either however you get your podcasts or on YouTube. Latest episode was with Leonard Fournette. Watched it Tuesday night. It was fantastic. I did want to ask you, when you all do those episodes, RC, is it like live to tape, or do you all have to do post-editing where you cut out some of the content, or is that the full run of the interview?
Most of it, like we've actually gotten better at it. We sucked at first a little bit. And so our producer would edit it a little more. Especially the training camp interviews and podcasts have been so short, obviously, because you're asking someone for their time in probably the busiest points of the year. Like all of those have been in their entirety.
Okay.
And, obviously, we'll always ask a guy or his agent or his manager, okay, we'll send you the cut so you can watch it. We've had people, kind of pull some things out that we just, we didn't want to make them look bad. Hey,
sure.
You said this, we're not sure you really want that aired. Let us send it to you so you can see it. So we've had people where we've taken, wanted to take care of them, but also sometimes, some agents will say, okay, we don't really want that in it. But the Lillard interview, it's so crazy because we did it the same day we did Byron. And that was very early on in camp. And we just all kept saying it's not a training camp interview. And what we meant by that was like it ended up showing so much substance of Leonard. And I think such great conversation and insight to who he was as a man, which is why we held it so long and we wanted to make sure we put it out on a Tuesday so people really could digest it and, kind of get to know him a little better.
That's true. It was not that's not a 2022 Tampa Bay Bucks interview.
Right.
That was a Leonard Fournette interview. It was very, very well done. Hey, I want to jump back to LSU for a quick second. And you and I talked last week about Jayden Daniels. You obviously, so we've talked about this a bunch. You got to see him at Arizona State when he played with Jordan. And I think we all assumed he was going to start. He did. Assess his first start at LSU.
It's one of those crazy things. I'm actually on a group chat with my fraternity brothers that I left the conversation on because they just complained the whole night.
That is why my phone notifications go off during LSU football games. I do not want anybody's negativity drowning out my game day experience.
Bro, Sconey, I completely left it. And it's like, oh, he runs too much and this and that. And I do think, and I even actually said to them, I was like, for what it's worth, Jayden is very risk averse. Like before forcing a pass or throwing it in the coverage, he will hold it or he will take off running. And last I checked, you kind of don't want a quarterback that's going to put the ball in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was part of it. I also think we had some issues on the front line, but I feel like there were times he missed some guys. There were some opportunities. I felt like he had to get the ball out of his hand. But I also feel and obviously we don't know what Nuss could have done if he played. I also feel with Jayden being Jayden, it's the only reason we were even in the game.
Yep.
Some of the plays he was able to create with his legs, some of the rushes he was able to avoid, especially when we weren't running the football well. And obviously, Kayshawn didn't get the opportunities you like someone of his caliber to get. But I also don't see another game where that football player drops 3 balls.
For 2.5 quarters, Jayden Daniels was the offense, and you're right about Kayshawn as well.
Yeah, he's not going to do that again. It's so funny. The slot fade that the guy ends up breaking up from Florida State in the end zone. And the commentator says, the play-by-play guy, whatever, it's like it's a little underthrown. And I was like, well, what the hell you want him to throw it in the front row? you know what I mean? I was like, it's the end zone, bro. But when
it's the corner of the end zone.
Right. But when you think about, when you think of the Jamars and the Justin Jeffersons, which is the type of players Kayshawn is being compared to, they make those catches. Don't get me wrong. Joe Burrow has Hall of Fame written all over him. He's that good. He's that tough. He's that smart. But if you don't think it helped that the receivers were named Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Terrace Marshall, then you're crazy. That's how he got to 60 touchdowns. And I think, we're going to need some playmakers to step up on the outside and help, whether it's Jayden or Nuss, help step up and make some plays. I think, he runs a skinny in the red zone, and he doesn't get his head around fast enough to catch the football, and he's wide open. I think that's just a timing thing and a continuity thing, a chemistry thing. But that play changes the game if you get 6 instead of having to kick a field goal.
A field goal that was blocked.
Exactly.
You would go into halftime up 10-7 as opposed to down 7-3, giving Florida State the football. But I did want to ask you about that play, RC, because the ball that Jayden threw, it literally hit Kayshawn in the 7. But he obviously wasn't looking for it. Like, I hate to say, like, whose fault was that? But, like, what happened on that play? Was it just what you said, as simple as Kayshawn just didn't get his head around?
Yeah, it's one of those things. You don't want to say what happened because you don't even know.
You don't know the play call, right?
You definitely don't want to, say Kayshawn or Jayden did anything wrong. You can't be, 100% sure. But it was just one of those weird deals where it almost seemed like Kayshawn didn't even realize he was a part of the route tree. That in any way he was a part of the progression. And I can't believe your preseason All-American wide receiver doesn't think he's going to, isn't a part of your mindset and making sure you get him the ball. Jayden seemed very definitive about going to him first in the progression. He was obviously wide open. And it's kind of one of those things that's unexplainable to know why he doesn't even look for the ball. But it was just such a huge play. He walks in there. And I think just from a momentum standpoint, obviously the scoreboard, it really changes, what the game is at that time.
He is Ryan Clark. I could talk to you all day, man. We're going to let you scoop, but I do want to pick Rams, Bills. Who do you like tonight?
I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I think the Bills are that good, but, man, it's so hard to beat a team on this, Thursday night celebration. So I'm going to pick the Rams. My first game in Pittsburgh was actually the Thursday night after they won the Super Bowl in 2005. And it was electric. We weren't even that dang good that year. We ended up being a 500 football team. But that night, no matter who we played, they would not have beaten us. And the same thing when we played Tennessee in the first game in 2009. And so I'm going to pick the Rams, but that doesn't mean that the Bills are still my pick for the Super Bowl.
He's on Twitter at RealRClark25. Give him a follow. Be sure to go subscribe up on YouTube or podcast on The Pivot as well. If you haven't done so yet, check out Leonard Fournette's interview this week. RC, you're the best, man. We appreciate you.
Man, have a good one, brother.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.